Before Porsches, I was into BMWs. I used to have a E92 M3. I had this bunch of friends, right? And they're all like big car guys as well. And so one fine day, we decided to drive to Phuket. Somewhere in I can't remember where exactly, but there was this fuel station. We were all tired, driving hard, driving fast. So I pulled up to this petrol station and it was on a hill. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with M cars or BMW cars. When you park the car and you put it into, and there's no P, you gotta turn off the car. And then only then it goes into P. So I parked it there, pulled the handbrake. But I think it wasn't till the max. I just pulled it to second or third. I came out of the car and then, took the phone out. It's like, hey guys, we are in Phuket right now. Then I look into the screen and I see the car just rolling back into the main highway, This friend of mine, he saw it earlier than me. So he started running towards the car. Because I was lost. I was like, the hell am I going to do, man? Like, shit. He ran towards the car. I don't know who he thought he was. The BMW M3 V8 in the front. It's a heavy car. He went to the back to hold it, And that kind of stopped the car a little bit. Then I threw my phone, ran towards it, jumped in and pulled the handbrake, So I think that was a moment where I'll remember forever.
You gotta thank your friend, man.
I gotta thank my friend for sure, yeah.
Hello, Sathish. Welcome to our What's Your Story series, where we get our friends to share about their passion for cars and how their story began. Thank you for being with us.
Happy to be here, man. Good seeing you.
Can we first start with an introduction to yourself and also to tell us a little bit about how it all began for you?
Right. So I'm Sathish. You guys might know me from Instagram. I deal quite heavily with cars and that sort of thing. Yeah. So if you ask me how all of this started, I think obviously the passion for cars started at a very young age. But how I got into the business was through my dad. My dad started this business back in 1992. And before that, he was a government servant working with DBKL and all that. But, one fine day, he just decided that, he wants to do his own business. And cars was sort of his way out. He saw it. And so that's how it all began. And ever since I was a kid, I used to follow him to see how things are done. Of course, things were very different then compared to now. And it all started from my dad, actually. And even though it was very different kind of cars back then in comparison to now, but that's where the whole spark began.
What's the name of your company?
My company is Vern Motors. We deal with rare and niche cars, collector cars, performance cars. That's the whole idea behind Vern Motors. And we try to bridge the gap between drivers, collectors, and just people who like cars. It's about the whole culture and the community behind cars. Yeah.
How did you get started in the automotive scene?
You mean selling or
from the interest all the way to today?
Oh, that's it goes way back, man. It goes way back.
Let's hear your story.
Everything from you see, ever since when I was a kid, right? My mom used to complain a lot about me, and because she used to say every time we go to this pasar pagi, I would force her to buy me those Tamiya cars, bro. Yeah, there used to be a shop nearby the Kedai Runcit. They used to sell these Tamiya cars, and every Sunday that used to be my something I look forward to, So I think a lot of it started from toys, cars, but of course, as you age, you have stuff like Fast and Furious, Need for Speed, that sort of thing. Yeah. So I think my dad sort of opened the can, but then, everything else was things that surrounded me and my choice to really dwell in it.
What was your most iconic car back then when you grew up? I mean, let's put aside Tamiya, right? Because Tamiya, you got your Avantis, right? Yeah, we had all the different famous ones, Rising Sun. We had all of them. But what was that iconic real car that first attracted you into that world?
I think it has to be JDM cars. It was always that. It was always the Supra, the Skyline, RX-7s, the big fours, I think that's where I really started to get into the whole performance and modification idea of cars, and I just like the whole idea. Even now, right? I like the whole idea of being the underdog, and JDM cars just give me that vibe. They remind me, because Supra, Skylines were modded, and they were going against Ferraris, at that time, Lambos. Yeah, so iconic car, I would say, for me, it has always been the Supra. Yeah, the Mark IV Supra.
I
Yeah,
recall correctly, you've come full circle already, right?
pretty much, pretty much. I'm
So
just
tell me about your special Supra right now.
yeah. Yeah. So that's another long story, how I acquired the car and all that. But that car has always been one of my. It's like a to-do list. It had to be one of those cars. I've gone through the whole list of JDM cars. Of course, now you guys might know me as being the Porsche guy and all that, but no, that's not where I started. And I don't see myself as a Porsche guy. I like Porsches because they're good driver cars, but yeah, JDM cars just have this soul about them, and there's just something interesting about taking something stopped from the factory and modifying it to fit exactly what how you want it to be. So yeah, my Supra, my Mark IV Supra, um, I actually found it abandoned by the roadside. Yeah. So you want me to tell the whole story? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it was one fine day. You see how it's funny how everything plays out, right? So this one particular day, my girlfriend at that time, she was teaching tuition classes, right, or in a tadika. So we went to this place in Satya Alam, and she didn't have a car back then, so she needed my help to drop her off at this place. And at first I was like, oh man, Satya Alam, I stay in Sungai Long, I stay in Kajang almost, right? It's a long way. I said, so you know what? Fine, let's do it today. I'm free. So drove all the way to Satya Alam, and I dropped her off. She was already late, so she was like, can you hurry up, this and that. So I said, okay. We got into the housing area. We went in, and then as I was approaching the study club, I saw a Supra right there. Right, it was blue. It was abandoned and just by the roadside, right. And I was thinking to myself, like, what the hell is the Supra doing here? It looks like it's been sitting for years. But again, my girlfriend was rushing. She was like, can we just get to the place first and then you can go look at your car later? But okay, fine. I dropped her off, and then I immediately made a U-turn. I went back to the place. I parked my car, and then I was just like, oogling over it. Like, just can't wrap my head around it. Like, what is a car like this doing here? And at that time, Supras were just about to pick up in value. I think this was, funny story. It was 1 week or 2 weeks before the pandemic. Okay. Yeah. This was that. I think 2019. Yeah. So I saw this car and I just couldn't walk away from it, right? Then I decided to go to a house opposite it. Then I went and ring the bell, and I was like, excuse me.
You
I
were
know.
stalker mode.
Yeah. Oh, shameless, bro. I needed to know what's the story behind the car, right? So I went inside. I went to the gate and rang the doorbell, and this lady came out. And I was like, sorry, miss, kereta tu siapa punya? Then she just went like, no, 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 tada, and then just closed the door. So I was like, okay, she's not in a mood to talk, or maybe I can understand, a random guy knocking at your door. Then I didn't give up. Then I went to another house, and this guy was like, okay, you tried that middle house there, because I think he kind of knew who the owner was, so he told me to go to the middle house. And I went there, but no one rang the doorbell. I mean, no one attended to the doorbell, right? So I was a bit disappointed. But still, I didn't feel like, I didn't feel like giving up. But I had no choice. I got back in the car. As I was driving back on the highway, there was just this thought in me, right? That's like, no, man, you can't let it go just like that. You got to do something about it. So I went back to the spot. I reached for there was a piece of tissue, paper, I think, in my dash, and then my girlfriend had a mascara. I didn't have a pen, so I broke it in half. I broke the mascara in half, and I wrote there, if you want to sell this car, please call me. Then I just left it there and forgot about it. So this was, I think, about a couple of weeks later. It was one fine day. I was having dinner with a friend. And then I get this call, a random call, and then it's like, this guy was like, hey, you mau ni kereta? Then I was like, who's this guy? He didn't say hello, whatever. He's like, apa kereta? And then it's like, ni Supra lah, ni Supra, you letak you punya number, you know? Then I was like, oh shit, okay. I told my friend, hold on, bro. I gotta go. He was like, important.
Put on a nice voice.
Hello, boss, you know, this and that. So that's where it all started. And there was a little bit of complications with the car, as in the owner was away for a bit, this and that. But since that call, it took me 1.5 years to acquire that car. I gave a deposit, this and that. Yeah, so that's how the story of the Supra came in. And the day that I got the car, they announced a worldwide lockdown. The day I towed the car. The day I towed the car from, JPJ from, yeah. So that was a very interesting time. That's how it all began. And then from there, went through a couple of mods, blew the engine, sent it again to another workshop. Finally, I mean, thanks to Toby, GT Auto, shout out to him. He set up the car really nicely for me, and I've been enjoying it ever since, man.
You'll be keeping that for a long time, I guess.
I think so. That's one of those cars where, even the newer cars, and for me, I just feel like, yeah, the new cars are nice, but everything is just getting faster and faster and better, and but it's just losing soul. So I feel like the cars of the 90s,
They represent that.
they represent that, yeah, and the whole idea of how cars are are just more than just the speed.
Okay. And what's the state of the car now? What color is it? What's she riding on? What are some of the mods that have been done to the car?
Yeah, so currently I'm resprayed it to a Soul Red. We custom that color. We kind of used the Mazda as an inspiration and then painted it Soul Red. It's running on Workmeister S1s, 3-piece wheels, Brembos. Got the Oilins just dialed in. Engine and gearbox. Gearbox is pretty much standard. Running on XAD clutch. But the engine is fully built. We've got high cams, oversized pistons. We've got turbo, aftermarket Garrett turbo. Sorry, Borg-Warner turbo. And it's running about, last we dynoed, the car is running about 630 on wheel. So actually, funny thing is, I just spoke to Toby a couple of days ago. It's one of those things where it's like, we have to constantly tweak it, And so I'm sending it again to do a little bit more fine-tuning. Yeah, that way enough. Yeah. So that's a really fun car. That's one of those cars which makes me feel really alive when I'm driving it, Because it's all you. There's no ABS. There's nothing.
Correct. I think with the newer cars, they're so hyper efficient, not just efficient, that it takes away a lot of the input that we put, that analog feel. And that's what we crave. A lot of us car people crave. And that's why the older cars, they speak of a time when you have to be more involved with it.
Yeah, exactly that, man. Yeah.
What else is in your garage right now?
I can't answer all of that. I mean, I can't give you a list, but share just a little bit of the cars I have currently. Obviously, the GT3 RS I just pulled up in 991.1. So before I tell you about the cars, let me just tell you about a little bit of what I look for in a car, right? I'm not a collector. I don't believe in just collecting the cars and hoping it will appreciate one day, or that's just not my style. A lot of people do it great, but for me, the way I look at it is there's so little time, and there's so much cars to experience. So the whole idea behind this ownership of cars for me is to experience as much as I can in this little time that we have, on this planet Earth, right? That's the whole idea.
It's odd that you say that, but do you think the pandemic had a lot to do with that?
The mindset?
Push towards enjoying what you can as well?
I think it's always been like that for me. Yeah, it's always been like that. Of course, being in the car business, I do have an opportunity to experience,
more than an opportunity.
to experience different cars at different times, right?
Job perks, right?
Yeah, job perks. I mean, I'm sure you can relate there, you know what I mean? But yeah, so I think it was not the pandemic, but it was always what I looked for in it, right? And it was always about taking it. I always believed in taking it step by step, which is why I started with the Honda Prelude. and then Civic, and then Integra. I just grew as time grew. So I think the experience elevates as I grow. And so the GD3 RS is one of those cars. Love the car.
She screams.
She screams, and
And we can hear her coming in for the car park just now. So what's in that car?
pretty much stock, just Sharkworks exhaust. Yeah. So this is under warranty with Porsche, so you can't touch it much. You got to keep it stock. Yeah. Yeah. Make sure Porsche is not watching this podcast. But yeah, so that's pretty much stock, just a Sharkworks exhaust. And then I just acquired a 996 turbo. It's funny because it was actually a crashed car. I don't really do this, but this particular car, I was looking for a 911 which I can just drive without worrying about scratching it here and there or value or whatever, right? And so this opportunity came by. A client of mine bought a 997 turbo from me. So he had this car which he unfortunately lost control of in Sepang, and it wasn't that bad really, just a little bit of pulling needed. So I'm actually rebuilding that currently. That's going to be my daily 911. That's the idea. And then I have a very interesting ID-mate project 939.
Okay.
That's another story actually.
Yeah.
That's I think I kind of connect with cars with stories. Yeah, I think that's my thing. I gotta connect to it, and then that makes me want to drive it, keep it, experience it. Yeah. So that's that particular car is a 1983 911 turbo, the first turbo.
What color?
It was in silver, but the interesting thing is, this particular car has a 959 kit on it. Yeah, it has a 959 kit. So the first owner who brought it into the country back in, I'm not sure, I think late 80s, he imported this kit in. Some of you guys might know, I think Darren, you might know, there was this workshop called Obermeyer, I think. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, they were the ones who did the whole conversion back then. Yeah. So it's a 930 with a 959 kit. And my friend's dad owned this for a very long time. Yeah. So if you want me to dive a little bit into the story of that as well, this one is interesting as well because his dad passed a couple of years ago, and so I helped them with a lot of their cars, disposed some of it and got them a good price for it and this and that. And at that time, I wasn't really into Porsches that much. Maybe just the newer stuff. I didn't really understand air-cooled stuff that much. So I used to see this car sitting there, right, in his porch. And I told him, like, bro, one day if you decide to sell the car, please call me because I've always wanted to dive into this air-cooled era, but I don't know where to start, this and that. Then he said, cool, bro, but truth be told, we'll never sell this car because it reminds him of his dad, and this and that, which was really beautiful at that time. Yeah, so years passed since then. I think 3-4 years. So one fine day he called me and he said, Sathish, you know what? This car has been sitting since 2004. The last Rotex was 2004. And I thought maybe now is the time to revive it. I said, okay, cool. I'll introduce you to the right people and all that. And then I linked him up with 1911 Bob. Yeah, Bob, and Bob's the right guy for this kind of stuff, right? So they started talking this and that. But again, a couple of months passed. And I think he just didn't have the time to do it. He was very busy with his career, this and that. So he called me one day. Again, he was like, Sathish, you know what? I think I don't have the time for this. So I remember you saying that if ever you do want to, if I want to let go of this car, to let you know. So he called me and I was excited. And only then I was actually looking into what the car really was, So I said, okay, went and take a look at the car. We checked the car out, this and that. But the funny thing is, there were a few bidders for that car. Yeah, there were a few people who were,
You're not the only one.
I wasn't the only one, Yeah, but eventually, I think for him, it was more than just the money. It wasn't the price. He just wanted to see the car go to someone who would really do it justice, and bring it to life. And I told him that. In fact, I told him this the last time I saw him. I said, when this car is done, I want to bring it back to your house, and it's just something nice I want to do for him, as a memory of his dad. Yeah. So that car has been in progress for about 2 years now. With 1911, we are getting there.
Didn't she make a sneak peek appearance?
She
Yeah.
did. She did. I threw this event lately, like a open house thing. So I toured it over, and yeah, just to show a little bit of sneak peek of what we're doing. So the whole idea of that particular car is, I mean, if you really dive into Porsches, you will know that the 959 is the whole idea wasn't to make it a replica. That's not what I wanted. But the 959 was actually based on 930. That was 930 was the mule for the 959, and it was when Porsche did this for the Group B races back in the day, but it never really took off because Group B got cancelled, I think, at that time. Yeah. So my idea is to recreate what a 959 resto mod would be, or basically a 930 prototype. A 959 prototype, actually. Yeah, that is the whole idea of this particular build. So it's gonna have. We are running aftermarket ECU on this car. We'll probably run air to water intercooler, water to air intercooler, and there's a lot of R&D going on to this. Yeah, we actually want to use the kit to direct air into the intercooler. Seeking
So you're
inspiration.
doing more custom work to the custom bodywork that's already on the car.
Exactly that. Exactly that. So this is supposed to be a Porsche outlaw project, not for the purists. Yeah, that's the idea behind that.
Okay. Yeah, I dig that.
So yeah, and a couple of other cars. Maybe next time.
Looking forward to see what that build looks like once it's ready. What was your first car?
Honda Prelude, 1989, four-wheel steering. Yeah, the one with the pop-up headlights. Yeah. So my dad told me when I was 17, my dad said he'll give me a little down payment, maybe like 10K or something for a Myvi. And I said, no, hell no, I'm not driving a Myvi. It was not me, I'm not going to go buy a Myvi and then load this and that. So I said, okay, fine. You give me that money. Let me save up a little bit of my own. And I bought this particular car at 15,000. Yeah. So, that I loved it, man. That was a really special car for me at that point. I actually wanted the one after it. Got what it's called, but it's a little bit sharper, but those cars were going for about 50, 60, and at 17, yeah, that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Couldn't afford that. So that was my first car. Okay. Still remember the number plate was WAR 68. Yeah. Should have kept the plate.
You're correct plate, man.
Correct. Yeah. So that was my first car. Yeah, and I still do miss it sometimes. Yeah.
Don't we all? Okay. If you could own any car, past or present, what would it be and why?
Well, that's a tough question, man. One car. I think right now, if you ask me right now, what's percolating in my mind, I would say a Carrera GT. Yeah. That's the one car that really, gets me thinking, gets me dreaming late nights. Yeah. That's the one car for now.
That's a legendary car. Yeah.
And I think that really sums up the whole everything, because even back then for me, I wasn't into Porsches, but the Carrera GT was the supercar. I looked at it as a supercar, and it wasn't really Ferraris or Lambos. It was always Porsches. So I think the Carrera GT would be, like you said, it will bring me one full circle.
Yeah. Not that circle is already not full, but where someone who says he's not a Porsche only guy, he's got way too many Porsches in his garage. Okay, I've got another interesting question, which is possibly one of the current flavors of the month when people talk about. And that is, where do you see the future of cars heading in the next decade?
I think in the near future, maybe the next, in fact, 5 to 10 years, I think there's going to be a very big gap um, between regular traffic cars and people like you and me, people, the cars that we drive, or maybe even people who are enthusiasts, they would opt for electric cars, this and that. Me personally, I'm not a fan of electric cars, and I don't think I will ever own one until I have the choice. Unless I'm forced to. But I think in the near future, that's where we're all going. Electric cars, and just a lot of China cars are coming up into the picture as well, and you can understand why. Because for the price, you just need a car from point A to point B. It's very hard to beat that, at that price point. So I think there'll be a very big gap between enthusiast cars and just the A to B cars. Even cars like the BMWs, the Mercedes, and all that. It's not really going to be everyone's flavor or everyone's choice when it comes to just A to B cars because of all the other options in the market. Yeah. So unfortunately, I think that's where we're heading. So, which is why people like you and me, Darren, we got to keep the dream alive for the next generation.
And I hope we're not just buying up the cars for ourselves, but, keeping the
At
whole
least that's what
industry.
we say, right?
Can you describe your funniest moment that you've had with your car?
Funniest moment.
Everyone has a funny story. What's yours?
Funny story, huh? Oh, yes. Now I remember. Okay. It's not exactly funny.
Okay.
It wasn't funny at that moment, but it's funny now, when you talk about it. Right. So I think the year was 2017. Before Porsches, I was into BMWs. So I used to have an E92 M3 at that time. And I had this bunch of friends, right? And they're all like big car guys as well. And so one fine day, we decided to drive to Phuket. Just a random idea, right? So we did it. And somewhere in I can't remember where exactly, but there was this fuel station in Phuket. And we were all tired, long driving hard, driving fast, and yeah, just a little bit exhausted from the journey. So I pulled up to this petrol station, and it was on a hill, right? It was on a hill. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with M cars or BMW cars. When you park the car and you put it into, and there's no P, you got to turn off the car, and then only then it goes into P. So I parked it there. I pulled the handbrake, but I think it wasn't till the max. I just pulled it to second or third. I came out of the car and then, took the phone out. Just like, hey guys, we are in Phuket right now. Then I look into the to the screen, and I see the car just rolling back into the main highway, And this friend of mine, he saw it earlier than me. So he started running towards the car because I was lost. I was like, what the hell am I going to do, man? Like, shit. He ran towards the car. I don't know who he thought he was. The BMW M3 V8 in the front. It's a heavy car. He went to the back to hold it, And that kind of stopped the car a little bit. Then I threw my phone, ran towards it, jumped in and pulled the handbrake, So I think that was a moment where I'll remember forever.
You got to thank your friend, man.
I got to thank my friend for sure. Yeah. So I think that was one of the moments I constantly look back to, because that trip would have been a whole lot different.
Yes, it would different memories on that one.
Yeah, so I think that would be one of moments to highlight,
And you're not the first. I've repaired cars because of that as well. Yes. What do you think is your biggest passion or obsession?
Passion or obsession? I think it has to be obviously cars, but if you're looking further than that, I think it's just the idea of being better every day. The way I look at it is, we're really blessed to be alive. If you wake up, you already win. That's how I look at life. So if you're given this chance, why not make the most of it? That's the way I look at it. So my obsession or passion is to be better every day. That's the reason I work out. that's the reason I even do what I do, and um, you can call it an unhealthy obsession maybe, but
That's what drives you.
that's what drives me. And I think that's how I'll forever be. And the fact that I even chose to do this, I think kind of explains the kind of person I am, because I graduated as an engineer, mechanical engineer, but cars was always the passion, and I always felt like, what's the point in, yeah, you can earn bigger money doing other things and all that, but you gotta wake up every day doing what you love. So I think my obsession is to always constantly be better at what you do. That can be anything, relationships, fitness, your career. So, and it's beautiful when everything just comes together.
When it clicks.
When it clicks, yeah. So I would say that's my biggest passion. Yeah.
That's wonderful. What do you think has been your biggest accomplishment, and what does it mean to you? This is personal.
Hmm. Again, I think it comes back to my career in what I'm doing. So when Wern Motors started back then, with my dad in '92 up till like late 2000s, um, it wasn't really these cars. It was regular cars, like BMWs, Hondas, this and that. But my dad was he's more of a luxury guy. He likes the comfort of a Mercedes. He never understood um Porsches. He never understood why would someone want to drive a loud car like that. It wasn't really his thing. So over the years, I would say 10 years ago, in fact, that's where I think I planted the seed, or maybe longer. I think 15 years ago. And he started to see this thing in me, this passion in me for this kind of cars and all that. And slowly he started to see the picture behind this, like why people would appreciate this, and how there's actually a business, because at the end of the day, it is a business, you need to be sustainable. And I think my biggest accomplishment personally is for me to sort of change his mind in a way, even though he's not really active now, but he sees it the way I see it now. And I feel like that's more than what money can buy for me personally.
Infused your flavor and what objectively would be possibly what you could call the correct and new direction for where cars and collecting is, right?
Exactly. So up until now, it's in fact, I just did like a whole rebranding thing, with Wern Motors. In fact, this T-shirt tells you, all about it. It's tailored for drivers and enthusiasts, right? I think that's where my passion truly lies, and I'm really happy and excited to share it with people who think the same way. I think it's lovely because I got to meet people like you through this whole community, and I think that's what keeps me going, and that's one of my biggest accomplishment coming from where we were.
Kudos to that. Kudos to that.
Right.
What is your perhaps biggest regret, and what have you learned from it?
Biggest regret. It's not that deep. I just regret not buying all that.
Not that kind of regret.
Not that kind of, not buying the
I knew exactly what I was going to
JDM cars, Apple
I've
cars.
got like 12 cars. I missed that shit. Should have.
Yeah. I mean, if you something deeper than that,
What was something that you felt like, you missed out on something because of a decision you made back then?
to be honest with you, Darren, I don't think I have any regrets in that perspective, because I feel like even though at that moment in time I may have felt like it was a regret, but wherever I am now and whatever I have, the people I know,
It's all part and parcel of this.
yeah, it's all part and parcel. Like if I didn't go through that pain, or if I didn't go through that experience, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I feel like can't really answer that question with anything specific. But
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I want to ask you one question, and that would be, what would be the one thing most people would not know about you?
I think it comes back to what I said earlier about being obsessed. Sometimes I do get a little bit too fixated on things. can be the smallest of things to making a deal happen, and all that. Again, it's not about the money or whatever. It's just that knowing that I did it. So I do get a little bit obsessed when it comes to doing something, even if it's a small thing. So, for example, like let's say I was to learn about a certain, like, an air-cooled car, right? I would be so obsessed in it. I would spend so many hours in it, and someone else might see it as passion or whatever. But to a point, it gets a little bit obsessive. Yeah. So I think that's where it's a gift and a curse. That's how I look.
So you're OCD.
I don't know if OCD is the right word. I'm not really OCD though. Obsessive, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's half the way there. We're going to move to the next phase of this, and that is our rapid fire question. This is something we'll just ask you quick questions, and we just need you to fire back something in like 2 seconds.
Okay.
You ready?
Okay.
What's your ideal car?
Porsche.
What color would it be?
Silver.
What's your ideal weekend?
Road trip with the boys.
Most overrated car?
Porsche.
Most underrated car?
Porsche.
Fair. Which is more important to you? The car's interior or exterior?
For me, exterior.
Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
I think I'm somewhere in between, depending on who I'm talking to. Yeah.
And what's your favorite hobby?
Driving.
Perfect. I think that concludes everything for today. Thank you very much for being with us. Appreciate your time, Sathish. It's been fantastic.
Fantastic with you as well. Let's go for a drive.
So much to learn on your thoughts and the love that you have for cars.
What's your story?